We are in ninth grade lit, and we are working our way through 10 to 12. Our goal is to get to 15. In case you didn't know, they are headed down. Remember, well, I don't know if we've done this, but you know where they are? Just look at the top of the page, it'll tell you.
What page are we
143. Anybody, can you tell from that where we are? Look at the top of the page. Where are we? Either page. I can't hear you.
Let's play Easton descent to 7th.
Okay, they have now descended. How did they, do we know how they got there? Do we know how they got there yet? I don't think so. 64, yeah, we do. No, we don't. So we don't know how they got there. The reason I say it, because there's a sheer cliff. They're at the top of the cliff in the previous canto, and they're looking, they're looking straight down. They can't possibly climb it. They can't fly, even though they're kind of supernatural. So they have to get down there somewhere. What's at the bottom? It tells you at the top of page 143. What is the first like geographical marker of the seventh circle? Yeah.
The river.
All right. So you got river, you got woods, and you got sand. These are the three things we're going to finish up with. Those are some things that you're looking for as you review for this, is the geography of hell. Because you got rivers, you got castles, you got, in this case, you got sand and you've got woods. You do have all sorts of interesting geography. So they're trying to enter this first circle with a river of blood. So, Lauren, would you start for us? Oh, about who tried to stop them? We know that. We did read this.
A Minotaur.
The Minotaur, which is half man, half bull, and you know anything about the Minotaur? Daedalus made a labyrinth for Minos, the king of Crete. Stop me if I'm wrong. I don't remember all this as well, maybe as you do. But Daedalus made the labyrinth, and in the labyrinth, Minos put the Minotaur. And was it Theseus who went and found his way through the labyrinth and did something? Did he kill the Minotaur? Is that what he did? You don't know either. Okay. Well, I can't tell you much there. But anyway, that's the Minotaur. What does the Minotaur represent? In a minute, we're going to see the centaurs. So who are the centaurs?
The half man, half horse.
Yes. So what are those? Remember, they're in the circle of violence. Half man, half bull, half man, half horse. What does the half business got to do with it? Yes.
You guys, people in that circle are not fully human. Like they're like.
If you lose your temper at that moment, you're not really fully human. That's sort of what this is saying. If you let your temper sweep you away, and you end up using violence, people who do that, you see it in the news all the time. People who kill people out of just they freak out in anger, or anyway, that's like animals, not humans. Humans have a brain. Humans should use the brain, the good of the intellect, and so that's why the half this and half that you're not really fully human. So Lauren is going to start for us at the top of the page.
Then as a bull pierced by the mortal blow breaks loose, it cannot go straight, but reels in the ring, plunging widely and staggering to and fro. I saw the Minotaur fall of pondering, and my weary guide called, run to the past. Makes midnight going out, while his rage has its flame. So down we clambered by that steep crevice of tumbling rock, and off beneath my tread, the stone slipped and shifted with my unwonted mass. I went through the square for chance,
All right, thank you. Again, I don't know if you have, all of these are questions. I'm not sure that they are, but I want you to know it. Let's see, 50, well, we're not there yet. 50, we just answered 50. 51, we'll answer on the next page. So you need to know this. So if it's not on a question here, doesn't mean I'm not gonna make you know it, so you can write it in the book. How do they get around the Minotaur?
He like said something about him being like not good and stuff like that.
Yeah, he mocks the Minotaur for being killed by Theseus, who is the Duke of Athens. And that's why the Minotaur is here, because he got killed up there by Theseus, and he mocks him. Now, it seems to me that's not the best thing to do if you're trying to avoid getting eaten by a half bull, half man. Don't make him angry, right? Don't make the guy angry. Don't make the dog angry. That's the last thing you want, or is it? It's certainly, what is it, counterintuitive? Don't get them angry, they'll chew you to pieces. But that's exactly what he does, but there's a reason behind it. Why? Now, I don't know about girls, but I know guys in sports, certain sports, track's not one of them, but team sports, they like to trash talk. Why does one guy on the other side of the line of scrimmage trash talk the guy that's standing in front of you? Or, because what? Well, it might be fun, but is it smart? You're making the guy mad. This is football. People hit each other. Why do you want to make him mad?
So they mess up more.
But say that again.
So they mess up more.
Why would they mess up?
Because that's all they're thinking about.
Because they got mad. That's exactly why you want to get them mad. You want to distract them. You want to get them off their game, and so that's exactly what Virgil does to the Minotaur. He taunts him, talks trash to him. The Minotaur is so angry, he describes him like a bull in a ring. He's just thrashing about, and that particular animal has no way to think now. It's the idea, if you lose your temper, you're not thinking, you're just acting. And so they were able to get around him by distracting him.
What's the answer in 49?
Would you mind reading it?
It says, what is Virgil's answer to Dante's question of why usury is a crime against God's bounty?
Anybody feel comfortable or confident enough to answer that question? What's wrong with usury? Yeah, well.
Excessive interest on money borrowed.
That's what it is, but what's wrong with that? Why is there anything wrong with it?
Like cheating God out of money.
Well, that's not the answer. It's really not God's money that you're cheating somebody else, but why is it cheating? Yeah.
Because you're not supposed to make money off of money.
Yes, money is sterile. Money doesn't reproduce itself. You didn't work at it, yeah.
It's not like usury or whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
But you didn't do anything. You gave somebody $100, remember, out of the goodness of your heart. They didn't force you to do it. It's not like a tax. They said, can I borrow $100? And you said, okay, but you're gonna have to give me back $120. Why? You didn't have to do it. It was you. You're not out anything. You're gonna get the $100 back. That's why usury is considered bad, because you didn't. That's not the way we should earn money in the Middle Ages. You're looking at me like that's really important to understand, because they'll probably ask you something like that. All right, so now they are.
Wait, so you shouldn't give money away?
No, you shouldn't give money away and expect to get more money back in return. That's not work. You understand how that's not work? Okay, I got it right here. You put your hand in your wallet, pull it out, here's $100. That didn't cost you anything. You're gonna get the $100 back. Why should you get $120 back? You understand? Looked at that way, you can see why they look down on usury. It's different now, because people don't borrow $100. They borrow $1,000. They borrow $10,000. And there's lots of reasons why we don't consider it a sin anymore. But it was a sin in those days, because that's not how you should earn your money. You should work for it. That's why gambling. Another reason gambling would not be. Actually, gambling is more work to gambling than there is usury. You actually have to work to gamble, but remember, that's a different, we'll see that in a minute. How did they get down the sheer cliff? Lauren read that. How did they get down? The sheer cliff. They didn't have rappelling ropes. They didn't have an airplane. They had parachutes. How'd they do it? Look at it.
They went down the rocks. They just, like,
What do you mean rocks?
The rocks had fallen down when Christ had come.
That's exactly right. When Christ came, there was an earthquake. What do you mean when Christ came? When did he come? What?
Was it when he resurrected?
Remember right before he rose from the dead? That's very useful. Right before he rose from the dead, he descended into hell. We talked about that. It's called the harrowing of hell. Write that. If you don't know that, I might use that term, the harrowing of hell. Harrowing. That's what the book refers to it as. And when he entered hell, which circle did he enter?
Where the like prophets were?
Yes, which circle was that?
Second.
The lustful in the second. Remember what circle he entered? Like we're actually reviewing right now. Should be the which?
Was it the limbo?
Limbo, first one. That's where the Hebrew patriarchs were. And so he entered that, but when he entered, there was an earthquake, and here's evidence of it. This sheer cliff in before circle 7. Rocks tumble down, so now instead of having to rappel down a sheer cliff, they walk down or they climb down. You know, it's like a natural staircase. You see that? All right. So they are at the bottom, and they see the centaurs, and they see the river of blood. So let's turn the page. Gracie, top of page 144.
They checked their old water stream.
Just a little louder.
Bearing and three of their band wheeled out into the river, their bows and ships and arrows pushed the wind. And one cried out from Lord, Hey, whither go you on the cliff there? What's the penalty? Speak where you stand, if not, draw the bow. Draw the bow. After shouted back, the word shall be before there. Headstrong, thou dost commit, and so thou ever was the worst for thee. And nudging me, that who was slain, there, and in the aftermath, with his own blood, and then shed blood again. Gazing upon his breast,
Achilles.
Achilles to the great stand, the greatest once so full of wrath, all around against thee they sped and handed down, shooting at every soul that tries to live, higher out of the blood than doom.
Okay, thank you. Look at question number 51. Did you see a triad of centaurs? Who were they, Zach? Who were the triad of centaurs? You know, one thing I haven't done in a while, I haven't checked the answers to the questions. I guess that's sort of a given on my part, that we're going over them. Why wouldn't you write them down? So I'm going to do that. That's if you haven't done them, then good luck. Because I'm not going to do it today. I'll do it when we finish. The triad of centaurs. Now, Hope Will's not the only person that, yes, thank you, Mallory.
Nessus, Chiron, and Phyllis.
We're on 144 exactly. Did you get that? Circle. You want to say it again for?
Nessus, Chiron, and Phyllis.
All right, those are the 3 centaurs. That's a triad. What are they doing? Did you notice what they're doing? It says,
Standing there and waiting, like saying where they belong.
well,
Virtually.
yeah, they are talking to them, but look at line 73. All around the fosse, they sped in myriad bands, shooting at every soul that tries to lift higher out of the blood than doom demands. So the people, the tyrants, the people in the river, if they try to get out, the centaurs shoot them with arrows. That's their job. They roam up and down the river, and anybody who tries to get out, they're gonna arrow through them. And we already know why are they appropriate for this job? Half man, half horse. Mallory, half man, half horse.
Because they're, oh wait,
We said it about the Minotaur.
Because they lost like their temper when they acted angry.
Yes, but why the half man, half horse thing? Man, half bull. Why are those appropriate? What's the image? We just talked about it. Yeah.
Oh, because they're half man, half beast, and when you're proud and angry, you're like the beast.
Did you hear that? That's a really good answer. I don't know why Ian, you get that? You know what she just said? Okay. I'd recommend that you listen. Half man, half beast. We don't want to be half man, half beast. We want to be all man. Not half man, half beast. And anger is like that. Okay, so why don't we go on to, I don't know where we are. We were at Gracie. Mallory, would you mind reading? 76.
we were near them now, those creatures smell and swift, and Chiron took an arrow, and with the notch put back upon his jaws his snowy drip of beard, and having freed his gray mouth, watch, said he to those who stood with him, mark you how the feet of the one behind you will they touch.
Okay, what do they notice about Dante? How the feet of the one behind move what they touch. What does that tell this? It was Chiron, I think. Chiron, yes.
He's not dead.
He's not dead. He has weight. He has mass. He has substance. You know, when you got on the boats, every time he got on the ferry, it would sink, and somebody would notice, hey, he shouldn't be here. And so they're noticing that he's alive. He's not dead. He's got a body. Keep going.
Those of the dead are not used so to do. And my good guide, now standing at his breast, where the two natures join, replied, quite true, he is alive. So, on his lonely quest, needs must I lead him to the vales of night. Necessity brings him here, not sport nor jest. From the seeing of Alcestis in the light, came she who laid on me this novel charge. The man's no poacher, I'm no thievish sprite. Now by the power that moves my steps at large on this wild way, thus a courier whom we may follow by the river's horn. To show us where the ford is, and to bear this other upon his back across the tide, for he is no spirits walking in the air. Then Chiron turned on his right flank and cried, wheel round and guide them, Nessa. If you're met by another patrol, see that it stands aside. So with his trusty escort, off we set along the bank of the bubbling crimson flood, whence the shrieks of the boiled rose shrill and vesper. There saw I some plunge eyebrowed they stood, and the great centaur said to me, behold tyrants, who gave themselves to ravin and blood. Here they bewail oppressions manifold. Alexander's here,
Dionysus.
Dionysus too, whose brute fury long years vexed his uncontrolled. That forehead there with locks as black as stoops set is Adelino, and that fair-haired one of Viso he whose light was cut out up above there by his stepson's son.
Thank you for reading so much. And so, the question in 52, why do you think Chiron so readily accepts Virgil's explanation of why Dante is in hell? Said it's a necessity, but yes.
Connie, because he has taught heroes that have also went down to the underworld.
I can't hear you.
He has also taught heroes that have been down to the underworld.
Okay, and also he says, now by the power that moves my steps at large on the wild way. He refers again to God, obliquely, not directly. He doesn't mention Jesus' name or God's name there. He says, there's a power, the power. He talks about God as the power. How are they going to get across the river? Why can't they walk across the river? Yeah.
They're getting carried on the back of
Yes, Nessus. Nessus is going to carry, particularly Dante. Why can't Dante walk across the river? of boiling blood.
He'll die.
He'll die. I wouldn't wanna do it. So he can't do it. He can't walk across. By the way, what's the ford of a river?
Like it's, a shallow place.
Right. It's where you can cross the river without having to swim across it. That's called a ford, F-O-R-D. It's a verb too. You can ford a river. It's usually ankle deep or something like that. You can get across. It's where the shoal is, right? We talked about that. Why don't we go to Jude? I think she 118, I think. Or maybe 113. Which one is it?
113.
Okay, good.
It's an I turn here.
Further along.
Further along, the centaur checked his pace beside the second gang, who seemed to start far as the throat streams boiling great. He showed one shade set by itself apart, saying, "There stands the man who dared to smite. Even in the very bosom of God, the heart they venerate still untipped." Next, rear upright, both head and chest from the stream, another board appeared, full many known to me by sight. Thus shallow and shallower, still the red blood poured till it was only deep enough to coat the feet. And here it was lead past the ford. And the centaur said to me, "Now prithee, look, just as this side. It ever grows less deep, on that I'd have thee now, the boiling brook lowers its rocky bed down shelving steep, until it comes full circle and joins its ring, there where the tyrants are condemned to weep. Here doth the heavenly justice rot and reign. Hear us and Sextus, here it ever bears that scorched of earth called Attila the king. And here forever it milks the tripling tears, squeezed by the skulls from those ruffled highwaymen, though as ornated Greniers, with this he turned across the corridor.
All right, so across the river Phlegethon on the back of Nessus, now they're on the other side, and notice who's in the river. Tyrants like Attila and Alexander. So these are just famous tyrants who killed lots of people. So turn to page 149, we'll go to Zach. Zach, you can read the story and some of this. We are at question number 53. This is the wood of suicide.
The poets and Theopathus would here Arthur sits shrieking among the withered trees which enclose the souls of suicides. Here Del Figny tells Dante his story and also explains how these shades come to be changed in the trees and what will happen to their bodies at the last day. The shades of two profligates rush through the wood, pursued and torn by black hounds. Dante speaks to a bush containing the soul of Florentine. Here Nessus had regained the bank beyond, being pushed into a forest where no mark of any beaten path was to be found. No green here, but discolored leaves and dark. No tender shoots, but riven and gnarled and tough. No fruit, but poison gallows on the withered bark. Wild beasts from tilth and pasture, slinking off twixt Cassina and Corvetto, never come to lurk in the scrub so tangled or so rough. Here the foul harpies nest in our home, who chased the Trojans from their Strophates with dismal outcry ominous of doom. Wide-winged like birds and lady-faced are these, with feathered belly broad and claws of steel. And there they sit and shriek on those strange trees. And the good master thus began, "To rear well, you're going further, thou shalt understand that now in this second ring shall be till thou comest to the abominable sand. But now look well and see a thing whose telling might fill my credit with thee out of hand. will stagger at their own dumbfounding.
Okay, thank you. So then the woods of suicides, he doesn't see anybody, but he hears people wailing or crying. What's the word? Wailing mournfully. So he doesn't know where it's coming from. He's looking around, all these trees, but he doesn't see anybody. And then Virgil says, if you'll take like a branch from that tree over there and just, break it off, you'll see something amazing. So let's see what happens when Dante takes the branch and breaks it from the tree.
So I put like my hand a little way and broke the branchlet from the thorn tree tall. And the trunk cried out, why tear my limbs away?
The trunk of the tree spoke to Dante.
Then it grew dark with blood, and therewithal cried out again, why dost thou rend my bounds? Breathes there no pity in thy breast at all? We that are turned to trees were once human, nay, thou shalt tender a more pious hand, though we had been the souls of scorpions.
So it tells you what is the punishment here in this.
They turned to trees.
They become trees, and what's the reason for that?
Because they came from trees.
Because what?
They came from trees.
Yeah, I will get to that in a minute. The hanging part, we'll explain that in a minute. But why have they become the tree? Well, it really could have been anything. It didn't have to be a tree. Except, why do you think trees are associated with suicide? You just said it.
That's what most people kill themselves with.
Yeah, maybe hanging from trees. So anyway, that's coming up in a minute. Because they hated their body, right? They hated their life, so they killed themselves, right? That's what suicide is. We all know that. If that's what you did in this world, you'll never get your body back in the next. That's what the punishment is. So you get what you wanted. You didn't want your body. You didn't want a life. So you'll never get it back. So they become trees. We'll look at the other part in just a minute. And when he broke the limb, it bled. That's kind of disgusting.
Is when you burn one end of a green brand, sap at the other oozes from the wood, sizzling as the imprisoned airs expand. So from that broken splint came words and blood at once. I dropped the twig, and like to one rooted to the ground with terror, there I stood.
Okay, thank you. Rachel, would you start?
O wounded soul, my sage replied anon. Might I have brought him straight away to believe the thing he rid of in my verse alone. Never had he lifted finger to mischief thee thus, but 'twas incredible, so I was prompted his deed, for which myself must grieve. But tell him who thou wast, that he may try for some amends to right thee with mankind, when my permission he returns on
Okay,
high.
before you go on, Virgil apologizes to the tree and says, I made him do it. I wanted him to see. He wouldn't have believed it if he hadn't have seen it. And so he apologizes to the tree and says, would you tell him your story? So that's what the tree is going to do.
To this the trump made answer, words so kind tempt me to speech, nor take it in ill part, for if at some length I'm lured to speak my mind, I am he that held both keys of Frederick's heart, to lock and to unlock, and will I knew to turn them with so exquisite an art. I kept his counsel, and let few men through, loyal to my glorious charge should I remain, and sacrifice my sleep and my strength too. But that great harlot, which can ne'er refrain from Caesar's household, her adulterous eyes, the vice of kings' courts and their common bane, inflamed all hearts against me, and these likewise, flaming and flamed Augustus to distress, till my glad honors turns to upward pleas. So in a scornful spirit of disgust, and thinking to escape from my scorn by death, to my just self I made myself unjust. But by these strange new roots my trunk beneath, never to my most honor-worthy Lord, I swear to you, was I found false of faith. And if to that bright world indeed restored, one of you goes, oh heal my memory, which lies and bleeds from envy's venom sword. He paused there, and the poet said to me,
While he is mute, let not this moment go, but speak and ask what more seems good to thee.
All right, so, thank you. Look at the very top of the page, the margin at the top. Pierre Del Vigne, circle his name. He's on your review sheet. He's the tree. He's a real person in history. Pierre Del Vigne. All right, and he's the one they're talking to. What is Pierre Del Vigne's story? Did you pick up on that? Yeah.
Was it Cleopatra or something?
Actually, I'm not sure where it is, but I think it's somewhere in Europe instead of Egypt. But he was the advisor to the king. Somebody lied about him and said he was a traitor to the king. So they put him in jail. And while he was in jail, he killed himself. So think about that. He was innocent until he killed himself. Then he became guilty. See that? There's no innocent, there's nothing, you're not guilty of being unjustly treated, but you are guilty if you kill yourself. So he used an unjust means to try to right a wrong, but it doesn't work that way.
What's the answer to 54?
Read it.
Explain what happens to the suicides when they die, as well as what eternal fate is. Why is this the case?
Well, you know the answer to the first one. What happens to the suicides when they die? Ian. Right, but we don't know the answer to the second one, so we've got to keep reading. So maybe Mallory can read.
And I ask thou, whatever thou thinkest will do my hunger good and satisfy me well. I cannot ask pity on penitent self. Wherefore, so may this man prove liberal, fast he renew. That an errand to perform in prudence good. Do thou be pleased to tell how souls get clear from these naughty doors. And if thou canst, if any shall do all, these limbs one day and find release therefrom. At this the truck blew hard and the wind he caught. After this, waters soon whistled into speech. He shall be answered with brief words enough. When the wild soul leaps from the body, which its own mad violence forces it to claim, Midas dispatches it down to the seventh ditch. It falls in the wood, no place is picked for it. But as chance carries it, there it falls to be. And where it falls, it sprouts like a corn of wheat, and grows to a sapling, and thence to a wild tree. And the harpies feed on its leaves, and the sharp bite gives out and big jabs.
So did you hear that? Minos throws them down to the wood of suicides as a seed, sort of, and they fall into the ground and sprout into a tree. So they grow up into a tree. And the harpies, who are harpies? Birds with faces of women, and they eat on the tree. So that's like a punishment, like a torture-like thing. They're eating, biting, and that hurts the tree. You want to read a little more?
We shall take our flight when all souls take their flight. We seek our spoils, but not to be used. For the spoils of the spoiler cannot be his by right. Here shall we judge into the gloomy grave. Here shall they hang, even each body evermore, born on the throne of its own self-slaughtering shame.
So you see, in the second coming, when people get their bodies back, the Bible says every human being will be resurrected either to judgment in hell or to heaven. These people will get their body back, but the body will hang on the tree that they are inside of, that they are. So they are the tree, and they have to look eternally at the body that's hanging there. This is pretty disgusting, isn't it? Morbid. But remember, these are unbelievers. And the specifics are imaginary, of course. We don't know, none of this is true necessarily, but we do know that that in this case, their body hangs off a limb from the tree that they are. Okay, you can keep reading.
Thinking the truck might wish to tell us more, we stood intent, when suddenly there came crashing our astonished ears a wild uproar, as the huntsman hears a boar and chase the bashing down on his post, like the noise of a hurricane, with trampling of beasts and all the branches scratching. And lo, on the left of us came two that ran naked and torn, with such a furious burst as snapped to the flinders every forest fence. O death from now come quickly, best the first. And the second, finding himself outstripped in the rush, cried, seized the skulker and set their teeth in him, and rent him piecemeal, and away they went, carrying the wretched fragments limb by limb. Then my guide drew me by the hand and bent his steps to the poor bush, left mangled there. Gasping veins hurts us to each bleeding rib. Oh, Jacobo cried, upset, and then, why make a scream of me? What was the good? Am I to blame for that misprision?
Thank you, and Ian, would you just finish it?
Then said my gentle master when he stood beside it, who wast thou that through such tattered wounds sighest out thy grief mingled with glow? O spirits, who come in time to see me guided thus shamefully, and all my foliage torn, it said, bring back the leaves that lie there scattered. Gather them close beneath that shoved forlorn. What city was she that bore Baptist chain to handsome patron? Wherefore on her scorn? Still by his art he makes himself avenge. Yeah, did not on her spirit even now retain some image of the guardian she estranged. Those citizens who built her walls again from the ashes left by Attila have been baffled wholly and all their labor spent in vain. I am one that made my own retrieve my scaffold.
All right, so real quickly, we're done. After he talks to the tree, Pierre Del Vigne, he sees these two guys running through the forest. One's name is Giacomo, and the other's name is Lano. And let me just tell you briefly about them. They are gamblers and vandals, and they were gamblers. And I'll tell you more about them Monday. I'll tell you more about them. But one of them, I think it's Giacomo, jumps into a bush and becomes one, like the tree. And the dogs come and bite it and grab it. So we'll get to that tomorrow. Keep working on your review sheet. This test is Tuesday. So we're pushing it to get to the end. We'll see you.
Wait, you tested
Tuesday.
So, are you gonna finish the book?
No, remember, we're only gonna do 15 chapters. I told you that from the beginning. If we don't get that far, we'll just test on what we've got. See you later, Rachel. Yeah, see you, Marilyn.
Thank you, Charles.
Yeah, Rich, see you later. You guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.